Welcome back, Commanders. It is I, Architect. I know it's been some time since I have graced your screens, but I am back. I've got a brand new studio set up. Very, very fancy, as long as I don't go outside the green screen borders. Very nice. We've also got some new overlay in. Well, to be honest, that's the primary reason that I am going to run this today. I want to check out how well this overlay is going to work. Hopefully it's going to give you guys some really good game information. You can see the mass, the energy status of the players, that kind of thing. So hopefully it's going to be good. Anyway, we are here to talk about Galaxy Resistance ladder event. So this is something that Roe has organized. He's put it together. Rackover's put together a leaderboard for it as well. And you can go and check that on the FA Forever website. That's going to show you who the top player is by points for each division during the duration of this ladder season. I think it's 8 weeks long, so if you are interested, you better get in there and get a whole lot of ladder games under your belt very quickly to catch up to those guys. Alright, so that is enough from me. Actually, I completely forgot. There's me, Architect. I am your host. We are going to talk Galaxy Resistance. We're going to be looking at Blast versus Uber users, silly names like that. Anyway, let's go. And here we have it. We are in our game. Let us resume and we'll catch up with how these guys are going to get on in their opening builds. And we can see the brand new overlay, which gives us that mass and energy status of both those players, as well as some numbers, and hopefully a bit bigger than the standard scoreboard, so that anyone who's on lower than 1080p resolution will be able to see it without too much issue. Let's go to the top left corner, the red player. We have got Uber Yuzo. He is rated 2178 for ladder, so that is a very fine rating indeed. He's going to go for the Cybran faction today. He's throwing down that first land factory. We can see he's planning to get 2 power generators down before he starts on those core mexes, which is an interesting play. He's going to avoid focusing on that hydro first up. Let's go and have a look at his opponent, see what the plan is there, and well, he has got something similar. It actually looks like the hydro is a little bit further away for him because of the way he's placed everything, but he's going to send a reclaim engineer out first. Actually, he's not even going to focus that hydro, which is interesting because a hydro is a very efficient way of getting a ton of energy in the opening part of the game, and with the amount of reclaim, if I just hold down Control Shift, we can see just the ridiculous amount of green that graces our screens. That is the amount of reclaim we're talking about. So we've got Seraphim down here in the bottom for Blast, or Blast Chilled, you may know him as. So he's finally getting underway with those core mass extractors, well, at least a couple of them, before he gets to work on another land factory. We're going to see spam, spam, spam all day from these guys with the amount of mass. There is a little engagement that is maybe thinking about starting in the middle here. We've got a Selen who's sitting there on guard duty, and he picked off that Scout the Mole that was coming through there from Uber. Up in the top left again, Uber's got that second land factory down. He's completed his hydro. He's got just about a third Tech 1 power gen online, and we can see getting nice adjacency. Well, almost. Whoever made this map, is the devil, because they did not give that extra half a space there to get double adjacency on the factory. That is a tragedy. Anyway, we've got a whole lot of reclaim going on and a few units moving towards the center of the map. We've finally got a Mantis out. He's going to try and pick up some wayward engineers. He's probably expecting there to be an engineer already down in here starting to pick up those mass extractors, but that's just not happening in this game because there's so much reclaim. We can see just focusing on those attack moves out of the factory, getting all of that, well, those rocks up and into the coffers. That is the name of the game, rather than really focusing on the expansion in this early stage. Although we can see that Uber is a little bit more focused on that expansion because he's got the engineer going out there. Interestingly, not getting any adjacency. He's probably planning on upgrading those mass extractors at a later point and wants to save the adjacency for the mass storage to boost the output a bit. Now we've got the commander moving down to the left side, so very good expansion plans there from Uber. He is looking like he's intent on taking as much of this map as possible, but on the other hand, down here for Blast, he really is not so worried about grabbing all of that territory. He just wants to get the reclaim, so we can see a lot of power generators going down. That'll feed the build engine of his economy for the short term at least, before he has to worry about getting over to those expansions. He will have to make sure he doesn't run out of map though. And Uber, actually, if we look at that overlay, we can see he's sitting with a little bit more in storage, and in total 4.1k to 3.6, I think. So a definite advantage there to getting his economy underway on more than just reclaim. It would seem that perhaps that is just a focus on the eco rather than a whole lot of units. And, well, actually, if there are a whole lot of units, they're not doing Blast any good because they're all the way back here. He's lost every engagement so far in the first couple of minutes of this map. He is going to come up and try and block these 3 Mantis which are coming in, doing a small amount of damage to the expansion and reclaim plans over there. And we can see another raiding party down the left here from Uber. He is intent on blocking anything that Blast is going to throw out of his base. And so far it looks like Uber's doing a fairly good job of containing Blast into just this bottom right hand corner. Blast moving out a couple of units, but there is a whole lot of Mantis inbound. These guys are going to see those blue tanks on the horizon, and they're going to know they can easily run over that position and take it back. We have an interception of this little raid down the bottom from Uber. It looks like the unit composition is all tanks, and slightly better placement there from Uber, losing 1 or 2 fewer Mantis than strikers. No Thams, because he is Seraphim, than Thams that were lost. We do have a counter push up here to try and take out a little bit of economy, but that is going to be very quickly shut down by this pile of Mantis. We've also got the ACU in the middle here. He's working on a factory. These tanks are going to get turned into reclaim very fast. In fact, these guys are already reclaiming before he was even dead. And on the right hand side, these guys are going to push again. What have we got? A half a dozen Mantis against slightly fewer than that Thams, and that's going to push Blast back again. He has managed to get some tanks into this area, but it's a very tenuous grasp on strategic control of the area because there's a whole lot more Mantis rolling in. Those guys are going to intercept, and that's going to shut that down for Blast, pushing him back into this corner. So far, everything looks to be going Uber Yuzo's way in terms of controlling his opponent and pushing him where he wants him to be, really restricting that. We can see all 3 of those expansions easily down now for Uber. But this over here is what is happening when Blast tries to do the corresponding expansion. It just gets hammered by a raiding party and gets shut down again. We have the ACU moving down to this corner. Now that is going to be a very difficult thing for Blast to deal with, although he does have his ACU right in the vicinity. So now we're going to see some ACU on ACU action. And how is that going to go? Well, to start with, Uber's not going to fire back because he's busy building, but he will quickly give that up once he sees the ACU is in the area. That's going to back him off out of there. So these guys not really wanting to engage too much with their ACUs at this point, but that is fine because otherwise likely one of them is going to be dying before the 8-minute mark comes around. Up in the top right corner, we've got a good push here from Blast. He's managed to clear out a whole lot of Mantis. He hasn't lost too many Thams. He's awfully close to the expansions up here, but wow, that is a lot of reinforcement rolling on in there for Uber. He's also got a Tech 1 point defense. That's going to be very effective because by the looks of it, there are 0 artillery in the mix there. Well, actually, just the 1, but that'll get shut down by the slightly faster Mantis in no time if he was to push in, not to mention the superior number of Mantis overall in that top right corner. And a push here from Blast's ACU. I'm not sure if he's aware just how much is in the area because we've got a whole lot of Mantis, we've got a lot of NGs that can quickly throw down point defense, and there is actually mass in the bank to put some point defense down. It is actually the energy that looks to be stalling Uber right now. He needs to get that power situation corrected and get a bit more online, and we can see that bar going back up again now, so that is good to see. He has his power situation under control. And we can also see whether these guys have got overcharge based on that maximum figure. We've got 9,000 over there for Blast, so we know he does have access to overcharge, but still just 4k for Uber, so we know no overcharge for him. We've got a bit of jockeying for position going on across the right hand side of this map. There are a whole ton of FAMs now. There are a lot of Mantis though backing that up, and it's going to be who can get their units into the better strategic position and make it. It's going to come down to Micro here, and it is going to also be an assistance from the ACU by the look of things. So Uber going to bring in a bit more firepower, a bit tanky HP, and there's even some point defense going down, but unfortunately taking a few rounds from Zoes and getting a lot of damage before it is really online and can have any effect on the game. Across the left we've got a good push here from Blast. He's managed to break in over this expansion. He's taken out all of those mass extractors, but the Mantis there for Uber have just pulled back, and that is looking like a very, very large group of Mantis that is ready to pounce on that. If he's not careful, it'll pounce on this ACU, so he is going to move that guy back out of harm's way. And do I see some Cerberus turrets online? I sure do. There we go. We've got some Tech 2 engineers on the field. They're throwing down some Cerberus turrets, and actually that is hitting the ACU. You do not want to be taking that Tech 2 fire, even if it is from Cerberus turrets, but still the range on those things is not really where you want to be. So he's going to try and back up out of there. He's lost a couple of thousand HP already. He's going to have to be careful not to get caught on any of his own units as he retreats, because there is a ton of fire bearing down on him. He's still in range of those Cerberus. No, he's just out of range now, so he's going to back away with just 8,400 HP left on that ACU. Meanwhile, we've got a similar situation up here, but it looks like Uber's ACU faring a little better because he is still up in the green at 8,800. Cybran, not the greatest, tankiest commander in the world, but they will regen reasonably quickly, and with a lot of Mantis in support, and we can see a whole lot more coming up, as well as some point defense going down, just to try and keep a good amount of support for that ACU. He will back on up, but what is this? Snuck all the way around the back. That is a very sneaky little move there from Blast. He's going to try and get him into the economy and do as much damage as he can, but what is this? Not a lot of damage. He is doing, well, he's doing some gifting of reclaim, but the number of tanks that have actually survived through there and the number of Mantis that are on hand to deal with those, that is not a winning proposition. And meanwhile, there's a massive battle still raging in the middle here. Cerberus turrets firing for all they are worth. Wow, they have cleared the area and they have left a ton of reclaim. Wow, that's a good amount of wrecks. And there's even shields to boot as well, so those guys are sitting there hammering away. Look at that ACU just taking fire to the face for absolutely no reason. Wow, that is a completely bad plan, because he's down to 3,500 HP. We can see the ACU smoking away there, and that's not the good kind of smoking or the vape kind of smoking. That is the you are going to die kind of smoking. So he needs to keep that ACU safer. And there we go, he's going to throw down that Tech 2 upgrade. That's going to give him an HP boost on the ACU once it completes. Hopefully he can get that done before he takes too much fire to the face. But look at this, all these engineers coming in, scooping up that mass. That is giving a pretty decent bonus to Uber. He's now sitting on 46k total mass in to the 38 of Blast. That translates into quite a large number of Mantis, and that is a good position to be in. He's also got a few rhinos up here on the front line as well. These guys need to be careful about the terrain. They've got very, very low firing cannons, and fortunately the map is quite flat and they will be able to just reach out and do damage with that main cannon. Hopefully not too much of a problem there for him, but there is an increasingly large number of Zoes in the mix here from Blast. He has switched up to mainly Zoe spam. That is in an effort to just rain death down upon these rhinos and these Mantis. But I just don't know if that's going to be enough. Those guys just don't have a lot of HP, and we can just see those Mantis with a few rhinos mixed in. They are just walking right through that entire pack of Zoes. There is very little to stop them, especially with the non-tracking artillery rounds on the Zoes. That's that's not going to go too well as the main body of your army, and that means there's just a dozen or so engineers down here desperately trying to get a point defense online, but that is all that stands between this army here from Uber and his expansion and getting across into the back of his economy. We can see that there is a response here from Blast. He's throwing all of these Zoes, but Zoes, wow, they really are not going to be able to do quite the amount of damage that I think he hopes they're going to do. Meanwhile, he does have some gunships as well to try and mop up. He will lose some more of those mass extractors in his expansion, and I think that's going to be enough with the gunships to force Uber to back away, because he doesn't have any AA in the vicinity. There's nothing he can do about that. Back up on the right, looks like these guys have been pretty much at a stalemate. We have got a small, but looks like ever diminishing number of blue FAMs and Zoes. Actually, it's hardly any FAMs left in that mix, and they are going to get overrun by these Mantis. The ACU has been supporting up here as well. He's, well, probably not doing too much support because he's got a full bar of mass. That's not compared, and when I say full bar of mass, I mean full bar of HP. But unlike him, Blast sitting down on 13,900, well into the yellow, even with that Tech 2 upgrade, really struggling to push forward. He wants to use the ACU here with the... does he have a gun upgrade? Let's have a quick look. Oh yeah. But he doesn't have the HP to be able to push forward and really do that damage that he wants. And over here we can see the Red Mantas have finished dealing with that little army that was up there for Blast, and there's just engineers and a couple of point defense in the way of that advancement. And we can see very nicely there is some flak mixed in with the armies as well to neutralize the use of the gunships that we saw. But what is this? This is way too far forward with very little support. Not a good place for Blast to be in. He needs to get a bit more regen, and in fact that's exactly what he's going to go for. He's going to put the nano repair system on that ACU so that he can get his regen up and running to try and counter all of the spam with the ACU. But I think he's relying too heavily on a hero ACU here. Meanwhile, Uber is relying on Mantis and Rhinos, and those guys are going to be a lot more effective in the long run. I don't think even a nano ACU will be able to come back from... what is the difference in mass? Well, it looks like about a dozen K mass difference at this point, and in fact the ACU coming fairly far forward, probably taking a few little hits. Yeah, he's just taking a smidgen of damage, just a teensy bit. He's going to head back towards the safety of those shields, and we have a lull in the action now as that nano repair nears completion. And for some reason these engineers here, perhaps just the radar blips, they were enough to make Uber think twice about pushing forward with that. In fact, he's building walls because he's so scared of the engineers. He needs to build a great wall of the desert arena to keep those engineers out. But hang on, he's figured out they are just Engies, and he's going to go and kill them. They are easy pickings, and there we have it. So he's free to move down towards this expansion now on the right hand side. Blast, oh, he's going to go for it. He's got 9,800 HP, so that bar is deceptive. He's down to the yellow, but still 9,800. I wouldn't want to be marching into such a big stack of Rhinos and Cerberus turrets though, and there's a whole lot of Cerberus turrets hitting the ground at the moment. As soon as he clears over the hill, they're going to start pounding him in the face, and that is not a good place to be. His army is way behind. He needs to get back behind the brow of that hill as soon as he can. He's never going to get that opportunity because he is destroyed. So that is a ladder victory to Uber Yuzhou, whatever you want to call him. Alright, there we have it. A ladder match, the first one that I've covered here for Galaxy Resistance. Thanks to Rowie for organising this event and Rackover putting that leaderboard together. So, let me know what you think of the new studio, the overlay. Does it work for you? Is it good? Is it bad? Anyway, we will be back with a bunch more action next time.